welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be all about this palette here. This is the Lisa Eldridge Vega Palette. So here is what it looks like. It's a lot of just cool tone taupey shades with a blue, a black, we have a brown here. So I did do a video of just an overview of all 5 palettes, but I also wanted to do just short individual videos on each palette if you're just interested in just one. So today's video will be going over details of this palette. I'll be inserting in some swatches, doing 3 eye looks, and then finishing up this video with my final thoughts. So if that all sounds good to you, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet, and with all that, let's get started talking about the details of this palette. Okay, I'm gonna throw up a swatch photo here, but this palette does have 6 shades and it retails for $68 US, 49 pounds, and here's what it looks like once again. Each shade does pop out, and Lisa Eldridge also does sell these shades individually on her website. You can't purchase the component just yet, but if you have a Z palette, you can easily just pop it into one of those. And these are very easy to replace. You can just take a bobby pin here, it's magnetic, stick it in, hopefully I don't break this, and it just pops out just like that. So you can rearrange all these palettes, but I quite like the color story in this Vega palette. This was one of the ones I was most excited about, so I wanted to start with this one. It comes with 5.7 grams of product. This is a pricey palette, no doubt about it, but we're gonna do some looks today. Palettes do come in 6 different finishes. This palette specifically has 4 of the 6 finishes, so it has 3 seamless mattes and 1 velvet, 1 metallic, 1 luminous finish. So just going through the shades here, we have French Gray, which is a velvet, Smoke and Mirrors, which is a seamless matte, Moon Swirl, which is a metallic, Turbulence, which is a seamless matte, Supernova, which is a luminous shade, and then Lamp Black, which is a seamless matte. So I quite just love the color story of this. I love those cool tones. I do appreciate having a black here, though, to be honest, I don't think I've ever used like a black shadow other than just lining. We're gonna change that today. As I mentioned, I did do a more in-depth video just going over swatches and shades, etc. on all 5 palettes. So I will link that video up above. But now I'm going to scoot you in closer and we're gonna dive deeper into this Vega palette and do 3 looks with them. Okay, so I'm not quite sure what I wanna do yet. I know I wanna use this blue here with this metallic shade. So I think we're gonna start with that, kind of just do like a blue smoky eye with the metallic on top. I'm gonna see how that turns out. But I'm gonna get a flat shader brush here and just kind of like pack this on the lid. I have not tried her seamless matte formula. I only tried the velvets, which I did really like. This is turning out a little bit more sheer than I was expecting. We might have to build this up a little bit. Now that I have this packed, I'm just gonna work on blending this shade. So I'm gonna go in with that French Gray and just start blending up. This French Gray shade I did use before. This is the Velvet formula, and it is quite lighter than it comes across in the pan. But I do like it, and it's blending out this seamless matte a lot better than I was expecting. I probably should have laid some tape down for this, but that's okay. And we're also gonna cover this up with a metallic shade, so I don't know if I need to have this perfect, at least the blue, but I am going to intensify it a little bit more. Not where we blended it out, but just on the lid here. It does build. Go back in with that French Gray. I'm gonna take just a smaller blending brush and now just keep going along those edges to just blend it out further. It's blending really well. I am not an advanced person when it comes to eyeshadow at all, especially because I wear glasses. My eyesight is not the best, so I do struggle just blending, but I'm finding that this is very beginner friendly. I don't think I've ever worked with shadows that just blended so well. This could also change once I put my glasses on, but I'm liking how this looks so far. Now let's go in with the metallic here. I'm just gonna use my finger. What shade is this? Moon Swirl? Moon Swirl. I'm just gonna go over the entire lid. I kind of just wanted to use that navy as a base. It is very creamy, and looking a little bit closer, I do have just a teeny tiny bit of fallout from that navy shade, but it's nothing too bad. I'm pretty sure it'll wipe away. Let me grab my brush and we'll just do that now. Okay, it's sticking a little bit. That's okay. I'm gonna fix it once I put mascara on. Let's just keep going. I really like how that looks. So now I'm gonna take an angle brush and we're just gonna go into the black and we're gonna really define the lash line here. I'm also going to go in to the bottom lash line, go really, really close. And then take just like a smaller brush, go back into that French gray and try and blend this out so it's not so stark on the bottom lash line. Now that I've lined the upper and lower lash line with black, this is kind of what we're working with. I'm gonna do look number 2 before I add mascara, put my glasses on, but I am quite liking how this looks. I don't normally go this like dark and smoky, but let's start with look number 2 now. I think that we're gonna use maybe both of these, the metallic and the luminous shade, just try and see the difference between the two. And I'm gonna just do more of like a classic smoky eye. I'm gonna take this French gray again, and because it is a velvet, Lisa Eldridge said you could kind of go all over your lid with your finger. So I am gonna just try that, see how that works. It is very creamy. I can't say I'm telling too much of a difference between the seamless and the velvet, to be quite honest. It did lay down like a nice base, but I'm feeling like it's missing pigment like right in the center of my eye there. So I'm gonna go in with my brush and see if like we can tap on some more pigment. Or maybe my eye's deceiving me. It does look a little bit better. Okay, so now that we have that base down, I'm gonna go in with more of that cool tone brown, which is Turbulence. That is a seamless matte. We're just gonna build up some depth in the inner corner here, just trying to find the crease a little bit more. I'm just gonna go in with a clean brush here. I kind of feel like that brown didn't show up. It's really just making that gray darker. I don't really see the brown as much. I don't hate it, but I kind of was hoping that it would give more of like a brown effect. That's all right. Just gonna blend out the edges a little bit here with a clean blending brush. And now I'm gonna go back in with the black, see if that kind of just deepens this up a little bit more. This scares me. I've never used a black shadow to like deepen up the outer corner, but we're gonna branch out. It is quite pigmented. I only dipped into this once, and you can see just how much it's gotten me. I don't think I need to dip into that again. So before we go to the metallics, I'm one more time just gonna take my clean blending brush. I'm actually gonna dip into the French gray just a little bit and just continue to blend this out. Just go over, make sure there's no harsh lines. And then now we'll do Moon Swirl, which is the metallic. We're gonna do that more on like the center outer half of the lid. And then we'll go in with the luminous shade, which is Supernova, and do that more on the inner third. I just wanna see like the difference in opaqueness. You can see like the metallic, I'm putting it over the black, but like you can still see the black coming through. So even though the metallic out of all three of the shimmer formulas, there's the metallic, luminous, and top coat, even though that's supposed to be the most opaque, it is not all the way opaque. There's still a little bit peeking through. And then now let's go in with this one on the inner third. It's definitely brighter. I prefer this shade, I think, over Moon Swirl, but I wouldn't say that this is any less opaque. To me, they're giving about the same opacity. The only difference is the metallic is clearly just more of a bright, and the luminous is a little bit more subtle in the shimmer. So I'm not finding difference in opacity, just difference in brightness. Here's kind of what we're looking like. I'm gonna finish up the lower lash line here. I think I'm just gonna take the brown Turbulence and just go over the under eye here, keep it really simple. And I'm not gonna line my lid for this. I kind of wanna keep my eyes looking a little bit more open and less smoky compared to this one. And there we go. So we have look number 1 here, look number 2 here, definitely more gray toned, didn't use any of the blue. I'm going to apply mascara and then we can see the final look for both of these. And here we are, both looks complete. So I did add black liner to my top and bottom waterline, and then I did a nude in here. Everything that I'm wearing is always listed in the description box below, but here is this one, look number 1, and then look number 2. I do quite like both of these looks, and then I'm just going to show them to you with my glasses on in case you wear glasses and want to see. But let me now gently take all this off and we're gonna go to the third and final look. Look number 3 is gonna be very, very simple. I'm gonna go in with this brown here, Turbulence, and we're just gonna put that kind of all over the lid. Just because the first time we used this, it really didn't show up brown. It really just showed up as a darker gray. And this is a Rephr 14, just for reference. I really want to keep this one a lot lighter than the last two because the last two were pretty dark and smoky. Also just gonna pinch the end here and go on the lower lash line. Take my bigger blending brush, blend out the edges a teeny tiny bit. All right, and then we're gonna go in with this luminous shade right here and just put that all over the lid and call it a day. I actually decided I just want to line with the black, I think, very close to the lash line, just kind of thicken up my lashes. All right, good enough. I'm going to do the other eye off of camera, apply mascara, show you the finished look, and then we'll go into my final thoughts. Here we have look number 3 completed, without glasses, and then of course with glasses. Super easy to do, only use 2 shades, 3 if you're counting the black, but let's scoot you back now and just go over my final thoughts on the Vega palette. Let's now go over my final thoughts on this palette here. So I love this palette. I'm really happy to have it. I want to kind of just talk about the formula first. The seamless mattes, so there are 3 here, this one, this black, and then this kind of really dark blue. This one's the velvet. So they're both mattes, just one's kind of more of a creamy matte, one is her seamless matte. I really thought that I was going to like the velvet formula the most out of the matte formula. And surprisingly, I really enjoyed the seamless matte more. I think I still need to kind of test them out. This is the first one that I'm reviewing out of the 5. But the seamless mattes just blend so effortlessly. I don't use a lot of dark colors. This is kind of like my signature look here, just like a very medium light brown with some sparkle. So this black blended perfectly. I'd never used a black to deepen out the outer corner. I've never used like this navy here to really do a smoky eye, and I found it so easy to do. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. These mattes are perfection. The velvet formula, on the other hand, I'm just having some trouble with. I don't feel like the color is true to pan. It seems a little bit darker in here than it does actually show on the lid. So that's like my only hesitation. I want to see how the other velvets work in the palettes. But for right now, I'm just like 50-50 on it. It's not a bad formula where I wouldn't recommend this palette. It's still very easy to work with. I just wish it was more true to color of what's showing in the pan versus how it translates on the eye. It comes out so much lighter, and I hesitate to recommend this to people with a skin tone any deeper than mine because I'm just not sure that that color would show up. And for $68, I really feel like you need to love every single shade in this palette. Hopefully, eventually, like you can just buy the component and customize it yourself. So if this was too light for you, you could pick a shade that could suit your skin tone a little bit more. But for now, that's my only hesitation. These metallic finishes or just shimmers, so this one's a metallic, this one's a luminous. I don't know why. I was kind of just thinking that with her shimmers, there's just going to be like a tiered step down on opaqueness. Like the metallic was going to be the most opaque. The luminous finish was going to be like a medium kind of opaqueness. And then the top coat was really just going to be like a sheer finish of shine. Now I haven't used the top coat just yet since this one didn't have it, but the metallic and luminous really aren't like that. They're both equal in terms of opacity. The only difference is that the luminous really has like some sparkle to it, whereas the metallic has no sparkle. And that's just a me thing. I probably should have understood that a metallic's going to be more of a foiled finish rather than speaking on its opacity, but I don't know why. I just kind of thought it was going to be on how opaque it was, and it's not. The luminous is going to have more of that sparkle, more of that glitter look, whereas the metallic's going to have no glitter. It's just going to really be like a foil. These are both stunning. I do lean more towards using the luminous, but when I want like that dark smoky look, like when I used look number 1 with this blue and this over the top, I loved how that turned out. I don't think I would have liked it as much with this luminous shade. So I really like every single shade in this palette, and I'm happy that I have it. I can see that this is going to be a palette that I reach for a lot, and I love the fact, like, I know I'm going to go through these 2 shades fairly quickly, and I love that I can just buy the refills, pop them in. These are fantastic palettes. I'm so happy that I took the plunge and purchased these. Now, on the flip side, I do think that these palettes as a whole have a very specific market, and that's going to be for someone who's like me, who wants something easy, not too colorful, a little bit colorful if I just want to like venture out just a little bit, but easy, not super bright opaque. It's not a rainbow palette by any means here. This is what you're going to want. If you're someone who loves colorful looks, if you're someone who wants really pigmented looks, this is not going to do it for you. This blue here, while it looks, you know, opaque on the finger, it really just doesn't blend out that way. It's very much of a sheer blue, And when you try to build it, like I tried to build it up and do a second layer, so you can see just how thin this is. When I try to do a second layer, it did give me fallout. That's the only shade out of these 6 shadows that gave me some fallout. And because it was so dark, it was a little bit hard for me to brush away. I kind of really had to reapply my concealer a little bit. So I wouldn't say that these are the most buildable, and therefore, if you just like pigment, you're not gonna really enjoy these as much. I think that Lisa Eldridge is selling herself a little bit short in having just a very small demographic that these are gonna appeal to. I think you'll either love these or hate these. I don't think there'll be an in-between, but for me and my preferences, I'm going to get a lot of use out of this palette. I love the cool tones. I don't think I have anything necessarily that fits this completely. I do have a lot more cool tone palettes, but just the way that I see endless possibilities with this, considering it's a very basic neutral palette, I still can see more than 3 looks. I could do 5 looks, 6 looks, and for a 6 pan, I think that's really great. I'm also really happy with the size of this. I think that it fits perfectly, like in the palm of your hand. It's easy to travel with. I'm kind of just trying to really hone in on the types of eyeshadow palettes that I like. And I thought that, you know that I like smaller palettes, but I thought that I would really like quads and quints. But this 6 pan I think is perfect. With a quad, I just feel like there's not as many looks you can do. I'm just thinking back to like my Charlotte Tilbury quads specifically. There's really one look I'm gonna get out of that palette and that's it. So versatility wise, I think the 6 pan is the perfect size that she could have come out with. I am overall really happy with this and I can't wait to try out the rest of her palettes. I think next up, I'm either gonna do Sorcery or Myth. So let me know in the comments down below which one you would want to see first. But that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. I hope these swatches were helpful. The looks gave you a little bit of inspiration. But with that, I will see you all in my next video. Bye everyone.